Hi everybody, and welcome to the Scott Show podcast. This is Scott here. We are talking about the Wednesday Night War here on the wrestling channel of thescottshow.com. We got like 14 different channels, folks, so be excited to be here on the Scott Show. We are talking about the Wednesday Night Wars. Now, for me, I have to get the highlights of all of that because I can't watch it because I'm working. Got like this job thing. However, if you guys do feel like you don't want me to have a job anymore, donate all of your money, savings, and everything else. Patreon.com/Scott Show. You can also check us out all over the internet. We're on SoundCloud. We're on Speaker.com. We're on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, all that other good stuff, and make it happen for the Scott Show. So, Wednesday Night Wars happened, but first I got to give a little bit of a shout out and some details. First of all, I have to give a shout out to NWA Power, NWA Billy Corgan promotion. Just rocked it with their first show. The Rock even came out and said something. A whole bunch of other people came out. Corey Graves, who is one of the best announcers in a long time. Came out and said something about NWA Power. So check that out. That is Jim Cornette on commentary. And Jim Cornette is just great. So go figure that one out. But I also have to give a shout out to New Japan Pro Wrestling. They do have an event, King of Pro Wrestling, coming up. We will be giving a review and a preview to that show, as it should happen because it's a big show in Japan. And I'm excited for it. And I'm excited mainly for the Jushin Thunder Liger versus Minoru Suzuki. I'm glad that I'm way far away from Mr. Suzuki that I can mess up his name, or if I, whatever. That dude is scary. He's, I think he's 50, but he could still wreck your day. And everything that goes with it. So, they are talking about killing each other. I don't think there'll be actual death, but I will give you guys the highlights of that show and how excited I am to see that match. I don't even want it spoiled. I want to see that match, and that getting me all excited. Getting me all excited inside. Go figure. Alright, so folks, we are here to actually talk about the Wednesday Night War versus NXT versus AEW Dynamite. Last week, if it was a competition, I would have gave it to NXT. They had a much better show. They had the championship matches, all three of them. So I would have definitely given it to NXT last week. This week, I kind of have to give it over to AEW. But I think that this conversation that we're going to have about it will definitely make you wonder why I'm giving it to AEW, so I will say that. First of all, I do want to say that with this show we will talk about the Dark matches, so we will talk about their AEW show Dark and what happened on there. I have not seen it because it has not been televised, but I do know the wrestlers in it, so I will make comments. So there you go. So last week I think we'll go with NXT first. Next week we'll go with NXT last. But I guess I'll go pick with the win. So the Dark match, it was Roderick Moss against Bronson Reed. Roderick Moss, kind of a name out there. He wrestled Dark match, won match. Caden Carter defeated Diana Pezzero. Again, the Dark match. So, they didn't really try with the Dark matches NXT this week, which was fine and cool. They did give you guys some great wrestling. So, the first match on the NXT brand for this week, Lio Rush versus Drew Gulak. Now, I love Drew Gulak. I think the man is just phenomenal. He does everything in the right way. He was the Cruiserweight champion. because he did get defeated by Lio Rush, that 24 karat piece of gold. Lio Rush is your new NXT Cruiserweight Champion, defeating Drew Gulak in a fantastic match. Amazing match. In the next match, you had Rhea Ripley, who is phenomenal in her own right. Probably one of my favorite women wrestlers on NXT. Defeated Aaliyah. If you guys go back and check out that Breaking In or whatever they called it, I'll look it up again. Aaliyah was on there, and you see how far she's gone so far. Rhea Ripley still wins the match, and there you go. The Forgotten Sons defeat Breezango. Forgotten Sons, Wesley Blake in another grouping, so hopefully that does better than the last one. In the singles match, Cameron Grimes defeats Boa. In a non-title match, you have Roderick Strong defeating Isaiah Scott. First of all, comment on this: I hate the name. Second of all, if your champion's going to win, you can defend the title. Cage match, give it a 6 out of 10. I think that it deserves a lot more than that. But Roderick Strong defeats Isaiah Scott. I hate the name, by the way. Even though, yeah, it's the Scott show, and, it's all good. The first name for a wrestler, I just don't get. I don't see that being WrestleMania right there. Singles match, Bianca Belair and the hair. I just love that hair of hers. Against Dakota Kai. Surprising. I thought they were going to really push Dakota Kai, but they didn't. They gave the pin and the win to Bianca Belair. That might set up Rhea Ripley and Bianca for number one contenders match, which would be that'd be a really great match. Just saying, folks. And non-title match, again, I really think this should have been a title defense. Walter defeated Kushida. Now, I was watching this, and I saw the finish, and someone asked me, hey, I never heard of these guys before on the show, which I think was the only issue. You had the Undisputed Era out there, which they got a little bit of a name, but nobody knew who Walter was. Nobody knew who Kushida was. These are people who are watching wrestling for the first time. They're looking at it, and, they need a little flash. They need a little something. And, it really didn't bring it back. Walter defeated Kushida. Again, defend the title if you're going to have your champion win. It just makes sense. And the other thing that happened is, of course, Tommaso Ciampa came out and said, Goldie, Daddy is home, meaning that he wants the gold, and he might get that championship opportunity at TakeOver. I believe it's Survivor Series. So, there is your NXT. Now, I used Cage Match for that. I didn't really highlight any of the other stuff since it's a long show. So, we'll just give you guys the wrestling info. Before I go to Dynamite, AEW Dynamite, let's go to AEW Dark. And this is number 2. This will probably be out, I think, Tuesday. Which is stupid to have something on Tuesday and then Wednesday. Your first match, Kip Sabian defeats Peter Avalon and Sonny Kiss. First of all, why? It's just terrible on all... I mean... It's so god-awful, folks, that I cry when I saw like 5 seconds of the match, and I seriously wondered what the hell was wrong with this world. Kip Sabian, he's all right. Peter Avalon has his librarian gimmick, and he's doing okay with it. Sonny Kiss is just a disaster waiting to happen. So I will give that negative billion out of a billion. So there you go. 8-man tag team match, the Hybrid 2, Angelico and Jack Evans and the Dark Order versus SEMA and SCU. I thought that we had seen an 8-man tag team match in the last show of Dark. So why are you doing this again is stupid beyond all reason, and I just don't understand. And the unsanctioned match, Kenny Omega defeats Joey Janela. Kenny Omega gets a win, but it's against a jobber. It's against an absolute loser. So, it is what it is. So, I mean, the Brooklyn Brawler can beat him. But Barry Horowitz could beat Joey Janela. So, just saying. Alright, so let's get to Dynamite and actually things happen. And like I said, I gave the week to the AEW folks. And I did that for a few reasons. First of all, with their women's division, they moved on to a different story. Riho was the champion, 98 pounds of, kind of reminds me a little bit of a girl from SmackDown, the Pirate Princess. I will remember it later. But that's who it reminds me of. They did have a tag team match. We'll get to that later. But first, we'll start at the beginning, where we had the AEW World Tag Team Title Tournament first round match. The Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. I do have to say that I guess in this case, I don't mind the Isaiah name. It's spelled differently. It goes with the last name that kind of works a little bit. It's still not what it should be, but hey, it's a tag team. Not that concerned. And I guess the reason why I have a problem with Isaiah Scott is because the guy was named Shane Strickland. So good dude. But we go back to AEW tag team title match, Private Party versus the Young Bucks. And surprisingly, even though to be champions and to be important in this world, the Young Bucks had to buy into their own company. They did the right thing in this case and jobbed out themselves to Private Party, giving them a huge push. Now, Mark Quinn looks like $1 million. I'll agree with Mr. Jim Cornette on that one. As Private Party defeated the Young Bucks. And, folks, it's not that difficult when you see both teams out there to think which one should win. And like I said, the Jackson brothers own AEW, or they have a big stake in it. And Private Party are what they are. So, Private Party win. It's not that hard to beat two middle school children. Yeah, it is what it is. Darby Allin defeats Jimmy Havoc for a number one contendership match, so Darby Allin will face off against Chris Jericho next week. I believe it's next week. Again, this is live and I'm tired. What can I do? Tag team match, Britt Baker and Riho defeat Bea Priestley and Emi Sakura. Let's go with that. I can't do these Japanese names, I'm just reading them first shot. But Sakura and Riho look like they're going to be fighting at Full Gear for the championship. I like that because Nyla Rose had her shot. She lost. She can go away. She can do whatever. And then you got a good fight. And then you got Baker and Priestley, who will have a good feud, which will be a funny feud. Maybe their significant others will also join in on the Twitter fun. But you got this fight going on anyway. Singles match, Jon Moxley defeats Shawn Spears. I think they did that in the right way. There was, earlier in the show, there was a conversation with Chris Jericho. He introduced the inner circle. So it's Jericho, Guevara, Jake Hager, and Santana and Ortiz, the boys. So you had that there. And so your tag team match main event, Jericho and Guevara versus Adam Page and Dustin Rhodes. Now, I stated last week that Guevara can be a really great Buddy Jack Roberts kind of character, where he can always take the pinfall for the heels. He can always do what he needs to. I think this just makes Adam Page look bad in the process. I mean, you had him challenge for the championship, and then he's lost every single match since then, I think. So, I mean, he did beat Joey Janela, but again, who can't beat Joey Janela? Just saying. So Adam Page did have a good match along with Dustin Rhodes, and it was a main event, so shout out for that. But the Inner Circle win the match, Jericho and Guevara, and then they have what would be just a huge cluster. You had Cody come out, turned off the lights, Cody came out, beat up Jericho, and then you had just a whole melee. Santana Ortiz came out, MJF came out, and I always got to take time and talk about MJF. He did his thing, where he came out, he had the chair, they set up Cody for him, and instead he beat up the Inner Circle. Then you had Darby Allin skateboard down the ring to beat up Jericho, which was interesting anyway, and Darby Allin is a skateboarder, so there you go. Now, that was your AEW show right there. Now, reason I'm going to give the show to AEW is they had a little bit more going on, and I think they set up more. They have Jericho, they have Moxley, they have Cody, they have Shawn Spears, and they have MJF. So they got a little bit more name on this show. Walter and Shikita and Kushida. I'm tired. All of these other people that were on NXT are big. However, I think this show just had a little bit more to it. I would have totally fast forward the first match, and probably the second one too. But the women's match, I might even watch that now, along with the Moxley and Spears match. I might, and the ending, because I want to see MJF. I'm excited for MJF, and the minute he turns on Cody, I think it's going to be the biggest thing in wrestling history. And if Cody wins at Full Gear, wins the championship, and then MJF beats him up and they have a feud, let the Inner Circle do something with, building up a Jericho. I don't know how they're going to do it. Hopefully they write a good story for me. But I got to tell you, folks, that I'm excited for wrestling on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. And Tuesdays with Power, and of course all the other wrestling out there. Friday Night SmackDown, same thing. I'm excited for wrestling. Let's get some good wrestling. So Young Bucks, please retire, get out of the ring, and let the actual men wrestle. So it just is what it is. So I want to thank every single person listening to the show. I know that sometimes I'm a little hot over AEW, and rightfully so. I think that they have a lot of terrible things that they put on the air, but I think they also have some things that they have done really, really well. So shout out to them. And shout out to the Private Party, who end up defining the odds and going into the second round of the World Tag Team Championship Tournament. So we will see you guys here real soon on thescottshow.com. Don't forget to check us out at thescottshow.com, also patreon.com/scottshow. Send us a little bit of love, and we will see you guys here real soon on thescottshow.com. So much fun.